right away we open up with pretty much the only story the game gives us. Croc rolls up to the island in a basket, which leaves a ton of questions unanswered immediately. Are crocodiles civilized in this world? Did they send him away? Did the Baron Dante get the Croc village first? Anyway, the Gobbos... Gobbos? I'm gonna say Gobbos. Think he's a cute little guy with that one tooth sticking out, I guess, and they start training him under the direction of King of the Gobbos, King Rufus. Oh, I guess you're wondering who the Gobbos are. They're simple people who spanned over 2,000 years, and their greatest inventions were edible deodorant and the wind-powered cow moistener. Don't ask me where they put the deodorant or where the cows on the island are. I'm telling you what the story in the game booklet says. When Croc grows up, he starts to become a bit of a nuisance to the Gobbos. It states he would smash through homes and buildings, and games of patty cake would lead to contusions and bleeding. But Croc would have his moment to shine when the Baron Dante and his minions called the Dantinis invade Gobbo Valley, and they imprison the Gobbos. Before Dante gets to Croc, however, King Rufus summons a yellow bird, which I found out is named Beanie. He hits this gong, and the dude rolls up, and he has magical powers, and that can teleport you, and he gets Croc out of there. It's actually how each level ends in the game. You smash a gong with your thick tail, and Beanie comes in and swoops in and takes you to safety. And then Dante puts all the Gobbos in cages, and it's up to Croc to save them all from the clutches of Dante and the Dantinis. Dante basically rolls up into the castle and takes the land over. So Croc Remastered. Are they Crocs? What a Croc! I actually really enjoyed going back and playing the original Croc Legend of the Gobbos. When I found it at a local retro gaming store, it's one of those games I had forgotten about, but as soon as I saw it there, scuffed up, cracked case and all, I knew I had to have it for my collection. I mean, it all adds character, right? So while I was streaming that, my boys up in the chat informed me that there was a remaster right around the corner. So I thought I might as well wait to play that too and talk about both in the video that I make. And that's what this is. So Croc is somewhat special to me not because the game is great or I really loved it as a kid, just because it's one of the first games that I can actually remember playing on the PS1, along with Crash when I was a wee lad. I don't even think I beat the game. I definitely remember running around and butt-slamming boxes, though. Honestly, I think the controls and such in the original were probably too difficult for me to beat when I was like 5, so, I probably didn't beat the game. The controls and the camera, speaking of which, are pretty brutal if you ask me. The only things about the original that I actually think make it difficult, and I think that's evident since I was able to get the true ending and 100% the remaster in about 5 hours, and that's while streaming it and talking to people messaging me in a chat room while I play the game. The original was published by Fox Interactive and developed by Argonaut Software in 1997, so coming up on a whopping 25 years ago. And the remaster is also handled by Argonaut. Just came out in April 2nd, 2025, so a few days ago. But right after that opening story scene, the game throws you into the action on the overworld map island looking thing. Kind of reminds me of how the levels are set up in Crash Bandicoot. The game is extremely straightforward. There's a series of levels on 5 total islands: Forest Island, the Ice Island, the Desert Island, and the Castle Island. I know I'm saying island a lot here. These are what you need to quote-unquote beat the game. But then there's a bonus area called the Crystal Island, and to get the true ending and 100% the game, you must complete this area. And to access this final area, you need to free all the Gobbos in each level, a total of 6 per level. And then for that area, you will access a sort of secret level that once completed, you will get a jigsaw piece. Collect all 8 pieces, and you will unlock the final Crystal Island area. And you'll get to beat this crystally Baron Dante. and you'll have the 100% true ending. I should also mention that to get all the Gobbos in a level, you'll have to collect 5 special orbs of the 5 different colors, and you'll be able to access this doorway at the end of the level, and usually the last Gobbo of that level is located in there, but sometimes there'll be more than the last one. There'll be multiple in there. So the gameplay throughout the levels is obviously platforming first and foremost, but you'll also have to do some simple combat by smacking people with your tail and yelling "kersplat" and "kerpow." Fun. The levels have very minor puzzle-solving mechanics as well, having to do some backtracking with keys and unlock some cages and doors, and pressing buttons and switches to open some tunnels or something like that. Nothing crazy. So that's pretty much how the loop goes, just traversing through these levels. And as you're progressing through, Dante will empower creatures of the islands, which serve as little boss battles. But honestly, I think this is the most underwhelming part of the game. Every battle is basically run around the arena until the boss stops doing something, then attack. Do this 3 times, win. And when you beat the boss, it's kind of really awkward because the game just stops and the ending screen pops up. It's just a weird way of doing it to me. It just makes it feel goofy and lackluster to me. The boss battles are so underwhelming. There's some various other little mini games you'll encounter throughout your playthrough, like a guessing box game, or catching a box, catching things in a cauldron, which I thought was pretty random the first time I saw it, and these button pressing mechanic games. It's just all a goofy fun time. These games are much easier on the remaster because you can actually jump and land where you intend with consistency. And as far as the changes made from the original to the remaster, obviously the immediate thing you see is the graphics. The remake does look really good in my opinion, no complaints there. And the boss names being displayed with a little health bar is kind of a nice touch. I can actually remember some of the goofy names of them. And I also feel like the overall sound quality is better, which is nice as well. I do think some of the music is actually pretty good. The songs have a nicer, cozy simplicity to them, kind of like the feeling I get from some old school RuneScape music. For instance, I really enjoy this song. The modern controls do make the game feel pretty easy, as I said before, and I suspected, but if you want to get a feel for those tanky controls from the PS1 days, you can use the D-pad on your controller, which will give you the classic motion on the remaster. At least that's how it was on the PS5. The remaster also has a nice graphics feature that lets you put the game in retro mode with the CRT and VGA displays. Pretty cool, so someone who never played back in the day can get somewhat of a feel for the game as it was if you use the D-pad and put these graphics on. Overall, playing the original definitely brought back a lot of memories, but there's something about messing with cameras in old games that just doesn't hold up for me today. So it was nice for me to have the remaster with these updates. I do think the OG Croc in 1997 was probably pretty damn impressive though, being one of the early on 3D platformers. I've heard it being compared to Super Mario World and a few others, but I've never played those because I'm a loser, so I can't give you insight there. In 2025, however, if someone who had never played Croc were to ask me if it's worth the $30, I would probably have a hard time recommending it at that price for 5 hours to 100% the game. Maybe wait for a sale on this one, $15, $20, I guess. But if you want to get the nostalgia trip and remember playing as a kid, this one might be right for you. I don't feel ripped off personally or anything from my purchase. I had a good time, and I definitely think the target audience for this one overall is those who had the experience with the original. I mean, look at this little intro when you boot up the game. I guess a better way of putting it is I think the target audience is someone who had a bedroom that looked like that. So yeah, guys, Croc is a simple, fun experience. If you play the original, prepare for some aggravation from the tanky controls and camera. If you play the remaster, expect smooth gameplay, but not much of a challenge. But sometimes it's good to have a relaxing break from a challenge. So, until next time, guys, peace.